Hello again. This is Will Luden, your host with Revolution 2.0, a revolution of the heart, bringing you today's episode, which, in a very timely way, is Abortion Kills Humans. Is that okay? And no, that's not a sarcastic, accusatory question. That's an honest, open question. Abortions kill humans. Is that okay? And together we are at episode 397, and together we are on our way to episode 400. The two critical questions in the abortion debate are, one, when does life begin? And two, when is it okay for the state to sanction the taking of life? My answer to the question number one is it starts at conception. And I will lay out a case for that, including a survey of biologists and some pretty tight reasoning to support the belief that life starts at conception. The answer to question two is a little bit more complex because the state, the government, sanctions the taking of life, even encourages the taking of life in cases like war, law enforcement, and self-defense. The question is it okay for the state to sanction the taking of human life to protect the life of the mother when the conception results from rape, when the child is likely to grow up disadvantaged, or merely for convenience? And I want to lay out very clearly, this is not a pro-abortion or anti-abortion episode. This is an episode about saying what we believe, being honest with ourselves and honest with everybody else. I believe that many, and perhaps most of those who support abortion, know that all or at least some of those aborted are indeed human and duck the human issue question, because they do not want to admit out loud or to themselves that at least in some cases they support abortion for convenience. And just between you and me, I don't care what happens. We are going to continue to abort humans for convenience. We need to make that an honest part of the conversation. Stephen Andrew Jacobs, who got his law degree from the Northwestern Pritzker School of Law and a PhD from the University of Chicago, published a paper entitled Biologist Consensus on When Life Begins. Here are the key excerpts. A sample of 5,502 biologists from 1,058 academic institutions. And academic institutions are not known toward being centrist or leaning right. Assess statements representing the biological view that a human's life begins at fertilization. Next quote. Overall, 95% of all biologists affirmed the biological view that a human's life begins at fertilization, with 5,212 of the 5,502 university biologists agreeing that a human's life begins at fertilization. This is a highly controversial subject, but it really shouldn't be. Let's use some common sense, and we can get through this rather nicely. In the United States alone, we perform over 600,000 abortions every year. With that in mind, don't we need to know exactly when life begins? I mean, with some precision, with some great precision, we need to know when life starts. Because if we don't know with precision, then there's a gray area. Naturally, if we don't have a precise point, there's a gray area where it might be a human life, might not be. And don't we have to respect that gray area if we're going to say, no, I'm not going to kill humans for convenience or for the health of the mother, whatever? We have to know what the precise point is. If there's a gray area, we may or may not be killing humans for example, convenience, which the vast majority of abortions are for convenience. They aren't for the life of the mother. They're for convenience. And we shouldn't be willing to do that unless we're willing to say out loud, honestly, yep, I support abortion for convenience. Picture another example It's a large, darkened room. You're told there may be people in there. There might not be people in there. And you have a shotgun. Would you fire rounds from that shotgun into that room where there may or may not be people? No sane person would do that, because you don't know if you're killing somebody or not. Why would you do that in a gray area with abortion? Unless you're willing to say, I'm okay with killing for convenience. Now that we know that we need a precise moment, what is that moment? Using trimesters as a standard doesn't work. Cutting the cord is a precise moment, but clearly we have a child by then, so that doesn't help. Is it when the baby emerges or just ahead? And if we call the baby fully emerging for the mother the test, what's special about the feet? And how do you handle your thinking about breech babies and C-sections? The only precise moment is conception. That's when human life begins. You don't need to be a biologist to see this, but it's comforting to know that biologists strongly support this conclusion. Now comes perhaps a more important question of when it is appropriate for the state, sanctioned by voters, for the state to sanction the taking of human life. Wars, law enforcement, and self-defense are accepted examples. Now, what about the taking of a human life for economic reasons, or simply for the convenience of the parents, as in it would be a 20-year burden to have this child, or because the child might be mentally challenged or the wrong sex? What about when it's highly likely the child will grow up with few, if any, advantages and be born into the middle of a drug-infested gangbang neighborhood? Is it okay to kill a child under these circumstances? Is it okay to kill a child under these circumstances? We don't want this baby, so we pretend it is not human. That's exactly what we're doing now, and we need to fess up to it. I'm not saying we need to stop it. We need to fess up to what we're doing. And we have to convince ourselves, here may be the key. We have to convince ourselves that a class of human beings is not human. Once we've done that, we give ourselves permission to do anything we want with them. Blacks were judged to be not human, so it was okay to enslave them. Jews were judged not to be human, so it was okay to put them in concentration camps and exterminate them. And right now, there's a lot of voices, including political voices, saying the entity in the womb is not human, so therefore it's okay to kill it. By extension, it would be okay to do anything with it. You could sell the parts, you could feed it to animals, you could compost it. Because if it's not human, then we can do things with it that we do with things that aren't human, right? The inconvenient truth, with no apologies to Al Gore, is that we are taking human lives for convenience. You may not believe that we are doing that in all cases with abortion, because there are certain cases where it's not convenience, it's the health of the mother. It may be that the child would have a truly miserable experience. Not talking about Down syndrome child, but the vast majority of the abortions are for convenience. We should be ashamed of ourselves at our attempt to absolve ourselves of what we're doing under the pretense that it's not human in the first place. Most of us would have a very hard time imagining the twisted logic that led to seeing blacks as not human or Jews as not human. What is the logic, other than just taking the stance? What is the logic of saying the entity in the womb is not a human child? Where is that logic? Where is the logic about saying, well, there's going to be gray areas. Unless you pick conception as the start of life, there are going to be gray areas, and I'm okay with gray areas, even though I know that gray means it could be human, could be not. We have to rub ourselves. We have to rub our noses in saying what we're doing. We are, at least some of the time, condoning taking a human life for convenience. And I'm not saying we should stop. I'm saying that we should recognize what we're doing. Forget the Supreme Court in Roe versus Wade. This is not a legal question. This is a moral question. And as with all laws, abortion laws should arise from morals, or as we say here, our moral compasses. Laws should arise from morals. We shouldn't modify our morals to agree with current laws. The agreement, a woman can do anything she wants with her body, really doesn't hold up. First, it is a child, and I've made a clear case here that it is a child. It is a separate person with his or her own DNA. Second, a woman, without thinking about a woman being pregnant, second, a woman has no more of a right to do anything she wants with her body than I do or that any man does. For example, she can't walk up to somebody and punch them in the nose for no reason, and I can't walk into a convenience store and start stealing things, even though she threw that punch with her body and I stole the things with my body. So that rule is not absolute. I don't think there are any that are. Now, what about a woman's reproductive rights? She has 100% control over her reproductive right, as does a man, right up until the time she has a separate being growing inside her. Key point. Unless the health of the mother is at stake, abortion is not health care. It is convenience care. Let's be honest, starting with ourselves. All of us have a quiet place in our head that we go to when we want to tell ourselves the truth. I call mine my brown study. If we go there, we're going to know that at least in some cases, I'd say in the vast majority, but anyone in the place where they go, that quiet place where they go, where they listen to the truth, they're going to know that many, thousands, tens of thousands of abortions a year are done for convenience. And again, this episode is not supporting or attacking abortion. This episode is about saying out loud what we're doing and copping to what we support. If we actively support taking a human life to support abortion, say it and own it. And again, I'm not saying it should stop. I'm saying the pretense that we're not doing that, the pretense that we're not taking life for convenience is what should stop. President Clinton's vision of abortion being safe, legal, and rare was tolerable, but not ideal, but it was tolerable. Today's version, safe, legal, convenient, and free, is just wrong. Bill Clinton's stated goal turned out not to be a vision, but the camel's nose under the tent. And there's more and more of that camel under the tent all the time. We all have the personal responsibility to say what we mean, and as the old saying goes, mean what we say. The truth, the simple truth, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Speaking of personal responsibility, that principle does not stand alone. The two main tenets at Revolution 2.0 are 1, personal responsibility, take it, teach it, and 2, be your brother's keeper. The answer to the age-old question is an unequivocal yes. There is simply no other answer. So where do you stand on this tough question? Other questions that are running through your mind, other questions of the day. Where do you stand? What are you going to do? Remember, it does not matter where you stand if you don't do anything. And you can start with positive, effective action. Start by taking positive, effective action today, now. Subscribe, encourage others to subscribe with you. Give us a like, 5-star reviews, give us solid reviews, and I'm eager to hear what you have to say. And if you're enjoying this on YouTube, hit that notification bell so you know every time that a new video comes out. As always, whatever you do, whatever I do, whatever we do, Do it in love. Without love, anything we do is empty. This is Will Luden. Talk to you next time.
You've been listening to Take 10 with Will Luden. If you've enjoyed the stimulating, passionate, and relentless reasoning, we encourage you to get out there and do something. Follow Will Luden and learn more at willluden.com.